Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Thank you. I never expected her words to hit the way they did. I just see you as a friend now. Evelyn said it evenly, like she was commenting on a shift in the weather, not quietly redrawing the boundaries of my life. We were seated across from each other in the small cafe we used to call ours, the one where the barista knew our order and the window table always caught the afternoon light. I nodded, because nodding felt easier than pushing back against a decision she'd already made in her own mind. I'm Marcus. I'm 34. I work a job that covers the bills and leaves me tired in an ordinary way. I'm not dramatic, not loud, not someone who slams doors or creates scenes. I've always believed relationships don't need constant fireworks to be real. Consistency mattered more to me, showing up, planning ahead, making room. Evelyn used to say she loved that about me. Said I made her feel safe. We'd been together a little over 2 years. Not a whirlwind, not a fairy tale, just steady. I planned dates. I remembered birthdays. I checked in when she was stressed. Somewhere along the way, the balance changed. I noticed it first in small details, how she'd pull her hand away when I reached for it, how plans turned into maybes, then silence. I told myself not to read too much into it. People get busy. Feelings rise and fall. That's life. So when she finally said it, I didn't explode. I didn't beg. I asked one simple question. What does that mean for us? She shrugged, eyes drifting down to her coffee. I don't know. I just don't feel that way anymore. I still care about you, just differently. There was relief in her voice, like she'd finally spoken something she'd been rehearsing for weeks. That night, I went home and sat on the edge of my bed longer than I care to admit. I wasn't angry. I was exhausted, tired of guessing, tired of leaning forward while someone else leaned back. And that's when something clicked. If she saw me as a friend, then I would treat her like one. Not out of spite, but out of respect for what she said. The next day, I stopped initiating. No good morning texts. No did you get home safe messages. I didn't ask about her schedule or try to shape mine around it. When she sent a meme, I replied hours later, the way friends do when they're busy living their own lives. It felt strange at first, like learning to walk to a new rhythm. But it also felt honest. A week passed. Then another. She noticed. You could hear it in the pauses between her messages, the subtle everything okay, wrapped in casual words. I told her the truth. I'm treating this the way you defined it. She laughed awkwardly and said I was being dramatic. I didn't argue. Friends don't argue over emotional access. They respect boundaries. If you've ever been in a situation where someone redefined the relationship without considering how it would affect you, hit like and share this story so it reaches the people who need it. Our anniversary was coming up. Weeks earlier, I'd booked a quiet restaurant, the kind with soft lighting and no TVs on the walls. When I realized the date was 2 days away, I checked my phone. No mention from her. No hint of anticipation. Just a casual hey and a question about a show she was watching. That's when I cancelled the reservation. Calmly. Politely. No explanation attached. When I told her, she stared at me like I'd broken an unspoken rule. You didn't have to cancel, she said. I looked at her and replied, friends don't celebrate anniversaries. The words landed heavier than I expected. Her mouth opened, then closed. She nodded slowly, like she was recalibrating a story she thought she already understood. That night, I went for a walk by myself. I thought about how often we accept half roles in our own lives just to avoid loss. How easy it is to stay close enough to feel the absence every single day. I wasn't punishing her. I was choosing myself. Comment below with one word that describes how you felt when you realized someone didn't value you the way you valued them. Later, she texted me and said she felt like she was losing me. I didn't reply right away, not because I wanted control, but because I finally understood something important. You can't convince someone to want you by giving them more of what they already chose to live without. The next few days were quiet in a way that felt unfamiliar, not empty, just different. I focused on work, went to the gym, and reconnected with a friend I hadn't seen in months. The kinds of things you put off when your world quietly revolves around one person. Evelyn kept checking in, casual messages with a new edge to them. "Are you mad? You seem distant." I answered honestly, "I'm fine. Just giving this the space it needs." That's when her tone shifted. She asked if we could talk. We met at the park near her apartment, the one where we used to sit on a bench and plan trips we never quite took. She looked nervous, folding and unfolding her hands like she was waiting for a verdict. "I didn't think you'd actually pull away," she said. "I thought we'd still, be close." I let the silence hang for a moment, not to be cruel, but because silence often tells the truth when words get tangled. "Close how?" I asked. She struggled to answer. And that was the answer. She wanted the comfort, the attention, the emotional safety net, without the responsibility of choosing me. And in that moment, I realized something else. I'd been auditioning for a role that no longer existed. She said she missed how things used to be. I told her I did too, but missing something doesn't bring it back, and nostalgia isn't a plan. I explained calmly that when she said she saw me as a friend, I believed her. And believing someone means adjusting your behavior, not waiting around hoping they'll change their mind. Her eyes filled with tears, not because she suddenly loved me again, but because consequences had arrived without warning. She admitted she hadn't expected me to stop prioritizing her, to stop planning around her availability, to stop brushing her arm when we walked together. I didn't say it out loud, but it struck me how often people don't miss you, they miss how you made them feel. If you're watching this and you've ever been told to just be patient while your needs were quietly ignored, drop a comment and let's talk about it. Do you think distance creates clarity, or does it simply reveal what was already there? We parted that day without drama. No promises. No ultimatums. Just a shared understanding that something had shifted for good. That night, she called. I didn't answer, not out of anger, but because I knew what that call would do. It would blur lines that had finally become clear. A week later, she showed up at my place unannounced. I opened the door and saw a version of her I hadn't seen in months, uncertain, vulnerable, reaching. She said she'd made a mistake. That she felt jealous imagining me moving on. I listened. Truly. But listening doesn't mean giving up your self-respect. I told her what I'd been thinking for days. Friendship shouldn't hurt, and love shouldn't feel like you're slowly disappearing. She asked if there was any chance of fixing things. I said maybe someday, with someone else. Not because she was a bad person, but because I didn't want to relearn my worth through the same lesson again. She left quietly. And this time, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. In the weeks that followed, I noticed how much lighter my body felt, how my thoughts no longer revolved around someone else's indecision. I wasn't happier in a loud, celebratory way. I was steadier, and that mattered more. I learned that boundaries aren't punishments, they're translations. They take what someone says and turn it into action. When Evelyn said she saw me as a friend, I listened. And by listening, I found myself again. If this story resonated with you, like it. Share your perspective in the comments and subscribe, not just for more stories, but because conversations like this help people choose themselves without guilt. I don't regret canceling that anniversary dinner. I don't regret stepping back. What I regret is how long it took me to realize that being understood is just as important as being loved. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do, for yourself and for someone else, is to believe them the first time they tell you who you are to them, and act accordingly.